Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Master and Apprentice Show. I'm Gary, and
I'm Jacob.
And hey, we are going to get right into it this time because we've got another jam-packed show, don't we?
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about with everything with the Bad Batch going on. Got a couple trailers dropped too, or at least one trailer that we know about.
We got a trailer for the Acolyte, and so we're going to dive right in. I want to take a quick moment. I do want to thank one of my Facebook friends, Candice Siegfried. She's on some of the other social media platforms that I'm not on, like X and Discord and those things. And we were talking the other day, and I can't remember how the conversation went, but she said, well, why don't I help you guys out, try to get some more subscribers on the YouTube channel? So she posted a link to our YouTube channel across all the platforms she's on. We did get one more subscriber. We're up to 5 on the YouTube channel, but we'll take it, let me tell you. So I just wanted to give a quick shout-out to Candice. I hope I remember when I upload this to YouTube tonight or tomorrow, I'll put a link to her channel down the description. So just wanted to do that. Thanks, Candice. That's probably something I'll do. You know, I was thinking I might sign up for X or Twitter or Napoleon Bonaparte or whatever he's calling it this week, and just train myself to stay away from the garbage. You know, just to promote the show and whatnot.
Who knows?
So we'll see.
Maybe you'll see a new presence coming up.
Maybe you'll see a new presence. That's right. So, okay.
Well, cool.
All right, so now we're going to get into the meat of the stuff. We just watched episode 9 of Season 3, Bad Batch, The Harbinger. As always, I love our format. I'll let you go, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Sweet. So when we started watching it, I was a little confused on the title, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it's like a vocab thing that I'm not aware of or something. But,
well, you didn't know what obfuscation meant when we were talking before the show started. So.
I don't know. Maybe I need to brush up on a dictionary or something. But
poor fella.
Either way. No, so I was a little confused by the title, but it didn't take very long for us to get into a pretty hot topic item, which is the reappearance of Ventress. Very, very neat. She has hair, which is different. I remember in one of the Clone Wars flashbacks, I believe she had hair when she was still a Padawan under her master at that time, but obviously when she was an assassin for the Separatists, she was bald, so it was kind of an interesting change in appearance there. But
she had that same hairstyle too. I think I mentioned this on our last episode, on our last show. She has that same hairstyle too in that unfinished Clone Wars arc that they never did that was going to wrap her up.
So fingers crossed, maybe they'll do those in the future. But
I wouldn't be
against a skeptic, but we'll see.
I wouldn't be against an Asajj series.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But there's a potential hint there. I think we might see something in the future, so that'd be really neat. Yeah, but definitely really cool to see her. And it was told that she was the one that Fennec sent, which is kind of unexpected. I guess I didn't expect Fennec to be sending a former Separatist in that way. Because my question is, I don't know how they know each other, but I guess some of that is because Fennec is a bounty hunter, and then Asajj had that bounty hunter arc as well when she was in the Clone Wars. She did that mission with Boba and a bunch of other people.
Yep.
So I guess maybe they met each other there, but it's kind of weird that they are somewhat of a partnership. But.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how much time passed there. That was when they were trying to save this young lady. She was getting sold into slavery or something. Yeah,
basically. Or I think it was sold into being a wife to this nasty old king or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, they ended up giving Boba to him. I think at the end of it.
Yeah. I don't.
Nasty surprise.
Yeah,
for him,
definitely.
Yeah, but that guy was nasty too. So
yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how. Cause we don't really know how old Fennec is.
Now I have no idea because I mean she's in the Book of Boba Fett.
She's young, so she's still in the Book of Boba Fett. She's fairly young.
Yeah, she looks.
in this series anyway.
Yeah, so who knows? A spry bounty hunter still, which is good. You know, she was definitely able to hold her own in the last episode.
I think we might see Asajj again somewhere in these last few episodes. I'm not sure, or maybe like you said, maybe we're gonna. I'm just gonna skip down to her last line. I can't remember what Hunter says to her. He asks her something, and she says, "I've got a few lives left." Now, Brad Rao, I came up with his name. He's the executive producer here. He's the guy that came out and said that her story arc in Bad Batch was going to line up with the Dark Disciple book. Yeah, Christy Golden.
No retcons or anything crazy.
He went all the way through. We were looking at it and we were saying, "This feels like a retcon. What's going on here?" And then she has that line at the end. I've got a few lives left.
Yeah.
So we're going to hear more
cheated
about
death in some way or another, but we'll.
I'd like to see a series about her.
Yeah, I think it'd be really neat because I mean. Well, during this entire episode, she dropped, she was talking about M count at the beginning, and then she actually said midichlorian, which, like you said, like you caught, I don't think that's been said since Phantom Menace when It was said by Qui-Gon Jinn, so definitely an interesting.
I had not mentioned this on any of our shows. I think I made a comment in the live chat on another show I was watching. I said, I guarantee you somebody's going to say midichlorians in this show.
Oh yeah.
Sure enough. Yeah. Finally, they said it.
Hopefully, it won't be a controversy anymore. It's been so much time since the last time it was said.
That was one of the dumbest controversies of the.
But yeah, and it makes a lot more sense now too. And I think it makes the weight of Omega's character a lot more interesting because now that she has like a confirmed M count, it's why the Empire is trying to hunt her down and such.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. By the end of it, it seemed like Asajj didn't think that Omega had a very high M count, judging that she wasn't able to interact with her surroundings and such as good as Asajj was.
Right.
But I'm curious if she's hiding something there because she didn't seem like she was giving the full story by the time she left. Maybe she's just trying to hide some of it for the sake of Omega's safety.
And the guys picked up on it too.
Oh yeah, they were pretty skeptical about it. And then right directly after that is when she mentioned that I have extra lives left.
Yeah, I got a few lives left.
Yeah, so I think it'd be really cool to see Asajj again, and I think we're really just getting started with this Omega thing. I can't remember which episode it was, but when the Emperor came by the Tanis facility and really, walked through all of their facilities to see how the cloning progression had come across. He was very interested about that whole project, which I think it's pretty obvious to a lot of people that that's going to connect to what happened in Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, and his return, right? So I think these M-count subjects are going to have a lot of connection to, or explaining how he came back, other than just saying he did. Right, so it'll be a lot of explanation there.
Yeah, the one Palpatine episode, and we're going to talk overall season 3 here in a bit.
Yeah.
But the one Palpatine episode, we didn't quite see what was in those pods or those cloning cylinders or whatever they're called. In Legends, they're called Sparty cloning cylinders. We haven't heard them use that term in this in the current canon continuity. But that's what they call them in Legends. They didn't quite show us what was in there. I think it's his. But
we've seen cloning tubes like that in that movie where we were able to see, Snokes that were just replicated.
That's right. I think Palpatine's bodies are in there.
Yeah,
I think that's what's in there for sure.
So that'll be.
I don't know if we're going to see it in this show or not. But there's only 6 episodes left, so they gotta
pick up some.
They gotta wrap some stuff up here, like post haste.
Yeah, but it seems like they have a good direction with this M-count stuff. I think that'll move into a lot of the meaty stuff that we're looking to get.
We have another giant monster trying to eat them. What is it with the giant monsters in this show?
I have no idea, but I mean, even it wasn't so. What was it? Episode 2 of this season? Was it episode 2 where they went to?
We had one in episode 1. We had one in episode 2. We had one in episode 3. We had one. I'm just kidding. It feels like every couple episodes we've got. Wrecker even says it in one of the episodes. Why is there a giant monster always trying to eat us? So I'm still working on my record.
Yeah.
But anyway.
When they went to Hemlock's old facility, they had a big monster that was trying to get them there.
Oh, God. We've seen 3 or 4 in this season, right?
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. I'm almost wondering if that's, become their tool of creating tension. Is that let's make something
or
really,
their running
really
gag or something.
Yeah. I mean, George Lucas did the same thing in Phantom Menace where he made Qui-Gon Jinn say there's always a bigger fish, and, every one of those fish kept getting eaten afterward. There's always something bigger, so I guess Filoni is trying to... show us that there really are some bigger things here.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, me
that
too.
Line too.
Really bad feeling
that
about
line
this.
too is a thing.
Yeah, it seems like it's a Star Wars staple. It's cool too because even though it's consistent that we see a lot of bigger fish, at the bare minimum, each of them are different. It's not like we're seeing the same monster every time. So I'll take it. Right? It's definitely new. But during the show, I actually made a connection. It looks a lot like the Kraken. That's pretty well known in I mean, I don't know. It's talked about in pirate folklore or whatever, and it's like this big squid that's larger than life, taking down ships and stuff like that. Well, it flipped our boat in this one, so big tentacles, got a squid-looking beak. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's some really close similarities here.
And there was a creature that looked like that. He didn't watch Resistance. I did. There was a creature in that that looked like the one we saw in the Harbinger. That showed up in an episode of Resistance. It had to do with one of the characters found the baby version of it and kept it as a pet. And then the mother came along and kept banging into the station that they were on, the fueling station that they were staying on. And They're wondering what's going on. You know, they were trying to attack the thing, and they realized she just wanted the baby back.
Exactly.
And what have you.
This one was just a little mad. There was no baby or anything. But
there's no baby this time. I don't know if it was
still a little angry.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the same type of creature or not exactly, but they looked a little similar. The eyes looked about the same.
Yeah. Either way, though, it was really cool to see Ventress by the end of that being able to kind of tame it down. It gave me Ezra Bridger vibes, really, because he did a lot of the exact same thing in Rebels earlier on. So yeah, I mean, it's just cool. It's a theme that the Jedi are able to pacify things a little bit better.
Well, it feels like Grogu can do that too, because he
he did it with the Rancor.
He did that with he put the Rancor to sleep, and then he had to take a nap too.
Yeah. So, hey, he used all of his energy doing that. Ventress didn't do that. You know, she did have to take a nap afterward. So. You know.
Well, she's been using the Force for a while, so she's more used to it.
Very true.
Right.
Yeah, either way, definitely a lot of cool
She's not a little baby.
Yeah. And Grogu's not going to grow up for a while. He's 50 years old and he's still young. But...
He's going to have to grow up quick because Yoda was 900, so...
no kidding.
They don't get too much taller, it looks like.
Yeah.
But, anyway. So, okay, what do you think of the episode overall?
I thought it was a really good episode. I'm very interested to see where they're going to go with it afterward, because I don't think... We're not going to see Asajj again in the rest of this series. I don't believe that's going to be a one shoot off kind of thing.
So I think we are. We'll see who's right.
Really? Okay.
I think we're going to see her again.
Agree to disagree type thing.
We'll agree to disagree.
But either way, I think it'd be really cool if she got her own type of spin-off series or something similar.
I would almost rather see that.
With how he was just talking about the book that she was in and how she just made a claim that I have more lives. Well, what is she going to do with them? It'll It'll be interesting to see what she does.
Hopefully, better things than she did with her first one. Although apparently, at the end, she wasn't quite as bad as what she had been.
Yeah, no, it'd be really cool though. I really like her character because it's been very all over the place, but in a good way. From bounty hunter to Sith assassin to a bunch of other stuff like that. Really neat.
Oh, right,
kind of topic for her. So it'd be cool to see that. But
maybe she's a semi-rebel now. It doesn't sound like she really loves the Empire.
No,
so
she's a
huge
proponent against it. I mean,
pretty much.
She was willing to team up with clones, whom she, aggressively killed quite a few in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, well, that was another thing we wanted to discuss. They were hesitant to work with her.
Originally, which it's kind of interesting because they've seen how much the Empire has done to their clones. Because even with one of those other episodes with Wolf, we'll talk about that a little bit more too. But Wolf was not on their side for that, so it shouldn't be a huge shocker to them that tides have changed so much that Separatists are starting to work together with people that used to be in the Republic. But it still seems like that's a shocker to them, which isn't that doesn't much. Come as a surprise with Ventress because Ventress really killed a ton of clones. So for them, they're just concerned for their lives, I bet. And also wondering what she had for plans for Omega, considering that she's being targeted.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, reasonable hesitancy. Hopefully they're over it, and maybe if they want to work with her again, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. Yeah. I could live with that. So
yeah.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and dive right into let's give our thoughts on the season overall.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Give your thoughts,
sure.
And then I'll jump off.
I really like the track that they have for it. I don't think there's been any episodes that to me have been like apparent filler or anything, which I like a lot. I think everything is kind of led into its own little, tidbit about the series, and we've been building the story the entire time. I'm really interested to see what we're going to do, like I said, more with this Palpatine stuff and see. I don't think we're going to see Palpatine again.
I don't think so either. No, I don't think we'll see him again.
But we're definitely not done with the MCAT stuff. We just found out a lot more about that, and I think that's going to lead a lot more into what's going on Tantis. And because this is the final season of this show, I'm assuming by the end of this we're going to have some huge raid or something of the Tantis facility, I'm assuming. Maybe not, but I think it would be...
The last episode is titled "The Cavalry Has Arrived."
Yeah. So maybe. It's looking.
Take that for what
it's looking like that might be a possibility, but to me, it'd be really interesting to see if Omega can really come to terms with some of the abilities that she, what's going on in her blood, essentially.
Right.
And then what the Batch is able to do with Tantis. I seriously doubt it's just going to be them doing it. That raid, that would be kind of insane. So it'd be really cool to see if some of this explains how Rex comes in contact with Wolf and then Gregor when they're all seen again in Rebels, right? So it'd be cool to see if this kind of explains all of that a little bit more. So maybe they'll all do a huge cavalry raid and then they'll all go off onto their own little pathways and move along. I think it'd be interesting to see if that's how they.
I think what they might do too. I think they might do what they did at the end of Rebels. I think they might do like they might have someone narrating. It might be Omega. Someone narrating like a postscript. Yeah. Saying where everybody ended up.
That'd be really
telling
cool.
us that would be cool. Yeah. That would be kind of emotional
and
too.
That would connect very well into how Rebels ended up tying in, because really, when we got into Rebels, it was so confusing why only those three of the clone commanders and captains were together.
And Wolf isn't on their side yet.
Yeah.
He's on the other side right now.
It seems like when during that whole event that he was very much in shock that Rex was alive. Still, and that he wasn't working for the Empire. Wolf was kind of shocked that his allegiance wasn't to them. I think he'll. I mean, obviously, the solution is that he is eventually going to turn around because he's not working for them by the time Rebels comes around. But I think he was already a little hesitant about it because he let them go by the end of that siege. And I think you had a comment about the location.
Where Rex and his men had their base.
Yeah.
So they were on Teth. Now, Teth was seen in the Clone Wars movie that came out in 2008. That was our first introduction to that series, and everybody, and Rex, and Ahsoka, and Asajj, and all of these other people. And boy, that was a much maligned movie too.
Yeah,
there is some problems. Well, what it was is they took the first 4 episodes, what was supposed to be the first 4 episodes that were supposed to air on Cartoon Network, and what they did, they stitched them together. And they made a movie out of it. And it does feel that way at times.
Yeah.
And that's my only big problem with it. I think it's an entertaining enough movie.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah, and it's a nice intro to everybody and the situation that everybody's in.
Yeah.
But Teth played a big part in that. And, wow, they went back to that. They went back to this.
Yeah, and that's where...
To something that, something that nobody really liked.
Yeah.
And they brought it back around.
Yeah,
it's
base for Rex and all the clones.
Yeah, where are we going to put Rex and his men? You know what? I bet it was Dave Filoni said that too.
Oh,
So we're going to put him on Teth.
Yeah, I bet.
We're going to put him in that abandoned Bomar Monastery on Teth.
No, but it was really cool to see.
Awesome.
It was really cool to see how many clones Rex finally has in his big cohort of people. It's quite, I mean... I don't know how many it is now after after all that, but there was definitely a few that got a little cooked on that siege.
They got fried,
but there are still quite a few, I think. Yeah. Definitely an interesting one, and it went more into detail about those. I can't remember what they called them, but those like infiltrated clones, the ones that are all wearing all dark armor. And working for the Empire as assassins.
Wrecker or
they had a name for them.
Shadows. They were calling them Shadows.
Yeah, they called them Shadows.
They were calling them Shadows.
But it's weird because I remember one of them appeared on Coruscant before we saw this one, this new one, right? And Rex tried to get his hands on him, and then he used that electrification thing in his mouth and took his own life, kind of thing.
Their version of a cyanide pill.
Essentially, and then when they got this new one in captivity, they took it out. They learned from their mistakes, and he couldn't do that because he said that they removed it, so that they could get more information out of it. But it seems like they're very heavily conditioned. Like they can't. He didn't give hardly any information.
And he ended up dead anyway because the other one came along.
Yeah, because they came along and assassinated them.
Yeah. They're tracking them. I think someone says, Agent whatever, it went dark.
Yeah.
So
because they had the trackers.
That's
how they knew where to attack Teth.
He went there and took him out and said, "Okay, we're gonna have to go in a different direction here."
What an unfortunate existence to be somebody who works for the Empire, and then when you mess up, you become the next target.
Oh, it's terrible.
That's kind of crazy.
That's a hell of a way to go.
But so sign me out. I'm not going to be a part of that.
I think I'll bag groceries at the Shop and Save or something.
Yeah, instead of being some deadly assassin or whatever. But no, I think that concept is still really interesting to see that the clones are still being weirdly utilized. And that one that got captured had some harsh words for Crosshair there, saying that you should be asking him the questions. He knows all the information, not me. That's true. Trying to place some doubts because a lot of those regs had a lot of harsh words for Crosshair after his betrayal and such.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah, because earlier on in the series, he gained his faith back with Hunter and such. I feel like that was pretty well done. They were able to do that.
Yeah.
On the planet that Crosshair betrayed that I can't remember what rank that guy was, but someone from the Empire.
I can't remember. He was a commander or what.
Yeah,
his rank was.
It was interesting to bring them back, and they tried to get some more information about the Empire at that place. But he built a good bit of faith. But for everybody else who he hadn't built that faith with, it was still pretty shaky ground.
Yeah, that's what turned crosshair right there. That incident.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about. We're not sure how much time passed. We're going back to the first episode now. Confinement, I think it was called. We're not sure how much time passed there, do we?
No.
They kept showing. There was a theme to it, and it was almost like watching the Groundhog Day movie. It was the repetitive, kind of a repetitive, not really repetitive, but a repetitive theme to it, showing that, okay, here's another day, and here's another day, and here's the same routine she's in, like the water dripping out of the sink. And they were showing the phases of the moon. I think it was a full moon at the beginning of the episode. Yeah. I think at the end it was a waning.
Yeah.
And like crescent moon or something like that, or half moon. I can't remember.
Outside of the conditions too.
And her hair was growing.
Yeah, that's the case. And Wrecker and Hunter were both commenting on how they felt like they had searched the galaxy over like 5 times through or something. Like they said that they had been like around.
Yes.
No way that happened in a couple days. So I can almost guarantee you that Omega was there for at least a couple months, or potentially longer than that.
And I didn't write this down, but we got to see the Deveronian that got his horn cut off last season.
Oh,
Remember he was in that second or third episode?
Yeah.
I thought, that's that guy. That's that guy from that filler episode from last season. Where they were trying to steal the spice back for Sid.
So much for filler, right?
So much for filler. They brought that back around.
And
it turned out he had a lead for them. It turned out. So
that's really cool. But it seems like the facilities there on Tantus. It was kind of cool to get a big insight onto what was going on in there. But
we're gonna go back there soon, I think.
Yeah, those clones that are there in captive, like they're held there and. Obviously against their will, the ones that are not becoming conditioned soldiers are, they're just being like corralled around. Like I'm going to take their blood samples over and over and over again to see if they can find their M counts. And and then interesting enough, Nala Se being as skittish as she was about the whole thing, she must have known right off the bat that Omega was going to have some unique properties about her blood, because she didn't seem to get shocked that there was an M count in there.
That's why I think Asajj was lying in this episode about her not having a high M count.
Yeah.
Because,
they seem to think
and my theory has been since season 1 that Omega is force sensitive. So I mean, it was when they finally did figure out Nala Se was, being devious there. They got Omega's blood sample into
the system, and it was
the Wheel of Fortune there, I was calling it, I think.
Very slow Wheel of Fortune.
And it was hers that came up with a positive result.
Yeah.
Just by adding hers. They had done, I don't know how many different trials and combinations.
I imagine quite a few.
We don't need to know that.
All the regular clones, they didn't have anything, so that was just a bunch of mindless testing for as long as they needed to get it done. And I mean, I wonder what they would have done with that facility if they hadn't found Omega's blood.
She might be saying that she doesn't have IM count, trying to protect her.
Yeah, it'd be like, just to almost feed into ignorance, almost like, hey, I was told I don't have a very high M count. Like, if she was to get captured, I don't know what you're trying to do with me, type thing.
Right.
But yeah.
So one of our questions that we were going to talk about too was whether Fennec was helping or hurting Clone Force 99. It feels like she's helping them. I mean,
because by the end of the last episode, it was a huge cliffhanger. As like by the end of it, she was like, I have some rogue clones here, and they have very a target of high interest, so to speak, to somebody who we couldn't see on a hologram. So it seemed very malicious. I didn't know what to think of it necessarily, but it looks like that person with to whom she was talking with malicious contempt was Asajj, I'm assuming. So that seemed to
at the end of the episode there where we didn't hear her voice. The voice was scrambled, but I thought I had a crazy theory that it was the client from The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, I think she mentioned something silly like that, like our client, like she had mentioned a client.
That's part where they were trying to lead us down, but
some lingo's repetitive, I suppose. So not necessarily the client from The Mandalorian, but
right.
Yeah. Either way, definitely. It seems like Fennec's working for them or working to help them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which is weird because I believe Fennec was trying to hurt them a while back in season 2 or 1 when she was trying to capture them.
They get mixed up with me.
I I don't know if she really knew what she was doing, but she doesn't have any allegiance to anybody, because during that episode she was like, oh, I don't care who I'm working for or what I'm doing, it's the money. And Wrecker called her out for being shallow, and it's because her response was, it's because you don't have any money. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's wonderful.
Okay, fair point.
Way to put him in the dirt, you know?
Yeah, no kidding.
Dude is already feeling bad about it, but yeah, definitely.
I'm thinking back to the trailer now. What we haven't seen Cad Bane. Is that the only
Cad Bane
thing we haven't seen from the trailer? So we haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, I can't remember if
he's going to be going after Omega. I mean, they're going to send him.
Yeah,
I don't think Cad
Bane has any like redeemability when it comes to, you know. I think with Fennec, you know, she's more human, so you could justify it, I guess, as being more kind. Yeah. But like Cad Bane has always been like that. You know, that sour pickle in the jar. He's always been somebody who's going to be bad. So I think if we see him, there's no way it's going to be helping them. I think he's just going to be in it for the money and trying to get Omega back to Hemlock. So, hopefully that doesn't work out or succeed. Or if it does, that might lead right into that kind of siege that we were talking about.
Glad you mentioned Hemlock. As you know from the last episode, I don't like that guy. But I kept thinking about, a couple episodes ago, they were dealing with Crosshair's hand. Is there some connection between him and
Hemlock messes with his hand?
Yeah, is there some connection? Could they have done?
We got a little guest star.
We got a guest star. My niece is guest starring.
Yeah, but Hemlock's hand, he keeps fidgeting with it, and then so is Crosshair.
Okay, I know he's loyal to the Empire, and those people are into self-preservation. Could he have performed those experiments on himself?
I was just thinking the same thing. Actually, you just mentioned it, and I kind of thought of something similar, but I wouldn't be shocked, because if Crosshair has the same, well, I mean, you know, use himself as a control group maybe, but like, you know, I don't know why you'd want to do that.
Control group is the science guy in the family.
Yeah.
Womp
womp.
Womp.
But no, it's very interesting that you bring that up, because they both have issues with their hand, and I don't know if Crosshair really has his hand fixed yet. I
don't think he does.
I know Omega's last attempt for it was meditation. She was like, "Oh, you should relax," and you know, and I can't remember the name of the droid, the one who was a medical droid. But,
AZ3, and then he's got like 19 other numbers after that.
Yeah, he mentioned that, you know, this diagnosis for his hand might not be physical but purely mental, and you know, I wouldn't doubt it. It might be some, you know, mental degradation that occurs from some kind of...
He's got PTSD too.
Yeah, it's something like that. But you know, it makes me wonder if that is connected to Hemlock, or if we'll find out more about what's going on with Hemlock. I don't think Hemlock is redeemable, however. So hopefully,
no. He's your
he's our main villain. So
he's your Palpatine. He's your Blofeld. He's your
somebody who's looking to get a lot of power from content that maybe isn't so nice.
Exactly. But we'll see if that's even mentioned. It might just be a thing that they're showing.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy's got a weird thing with his hand. We're just going to show him.
It could totally be coincidence that both of them have trouble with their hands.
It could be.
Which, you know, who knows.
But we see the way we mentioned their hesitance to work with Asajj. We see how, you know, there's some PTSD from the war. And I was watching, I'm going to shout out another channel now. It's called Artor. He did a little retrospective on the first season of The Bad Batch. Made a lot of comparisons, very emotional comparisons, to the plight of veterans who come back from wartime here in this country, and how we treat them when they come back, and we don't treat them well. And you know, both political parties like to say they're for the veterans, but neither one of them really do anything.
There's still managed to be a lot of issues with that. But it's interesting that that's brought up, because the clone veterans are experiencing almost the worst bout.
They're being tossed aside because they're no use anymore.
Yeah, they've functioned their entire usage, and now they're completely useless to them. Yeah. Even during, what was it, one of the Clone Wars episodes or something?
Are you thinking of the episode on with Pong Krell, General Pong Krell?
Maybe.
Where he just sends them into battle and doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very similar bout with it. I mean, obviously this is still during the war, but he still doesn't respect the clones then.
No.
So him not respecting them during the war, and then them not being respected after the war, it goes par for the course. The clones were always meant to be, expendable, which is unfortunate. But Yeah, which is, why Rex is trying to do everything he's trying to do. He's trying to get the clones back to a sense of autonomy and, make them have something to say, where they actually have a say in some sort of government, and overthrowing the Empire, exactly. On the side. But
so before we wrap this up and move on to the Acolyte, I just got to mention how glad I was to see Senator Chuchi again.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've got like a little crush on her. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There must be something about the blue ladies. Oh, I like the green ladies too. I got a little bit of a crush on Hera too. So
too funny.
Yeah,
but
that's something.
Yeah. Well, it was cool to see her interaction with that separatist senator as well, and the fact that we've already seen him before.
Yes, that's right. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember it either.
Guy with the funny hat.
Yeah,
that's
but
what I call
because I remember originally we saw him when the Bad Batch was trying to extract him out of the territory because it was getting overrun by clones who had taken it over again, or the Empire at this point.
Right.
So yeah, we saw him then, and obviously now he's still trying to get out. He's not even safe yet. He's still trying to, manage his way through rough terrain.
Well, they tried killing him right there too. She's not safe either.
Well, yeah, that was the whole. I believe that's how we got introduced to those shadows again. After we had seen the last one, we got introduced to them again because their objective was to take him out.
Yep.
So yeah, which led to a lot more of a dastardly discovery for us because they ended up finding out a lot more about the clones and their whereabouts, and not so much about the senator. But
yeah. Okay, there you go.
Pretty neat.
Right. All right, I think that wraps up our discussion on the Bad Batch season 3 so far.
Yep,
6 episodes left. I think there's 2 coming again this week. I think I saw that correctly. I think there's 2 coming again this week, and then it's one for the next 4 weeks after that. So we'll see. I'm excited to see where they go with it.
So, me as well. Final season.
Right. Final season. That's right. So last week we got the trailer for The Acolyte.
Yes.
And that starts on Disney Plus June 4th. 2-episode premiere. Takes place during the final days of the High Republic, which is going to be around 100 years. BBY, or before the Battle of Yavin, or before the first Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So why don't you give your thoughts on what you think we're going to see based on the trailer? And then I'll give some thoughts, and let's go.
I'm very interested about the Acolyte.
This was in the first episode, in our first show, you said this is the thing you were looking most forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this a lot.
I'm excited to see
the trailer didn't give me so much to the point where I know what's going on. Like it's definitely, which is perfect because I don't want to know a ton, right? But they definitely keep you guessing so that you'll be excited for it. One thing that isn't necessarily about that show, but is kind of a connection to it, is that bringing to theaters thing for the Phantom Menace is going to have a sneak peek.
You were telling me this. There's going to be a sneak preview. Oh, I hope we got to.
So for whoever goes to that, you might see a little bit of a something from the Acolyte. Whatever
that's got to come to our area, right?
So
we got to go see that just to see that preview.
Fingers crossed. But either way, that was my little tangent. But
that's fine.
But I'm really looking forward to this show. Like you said, right before we started this show, it seems like it's going to be a murder mystery type thing.
Yes.
And they hinted at that very strongly.
Mystery thriller.
Yeah, mystery thriller. So it seems like the whole premise of it is going to be, Jedi before the Phantom Menace, right? Who are trying to essentially learn their ways, but now someone's killing the Jedi off. So what's going to happen about that? And it'll be interesting to see how that connects to, obviously, the Sith. I've seen some things, people thinking they're going to see Palpatine. I seriously doubt it. I don't think that's going to be something that they're going to connect to.
He's not old enough.
They might.
He's not old enough.
Yeah, the only thing that would work with is if they were to do that is if they flash forwarded too far, but I don't think that's their plan for this.
Let me think here. He's probably about, so if it's 100 years before the Battle of Yavin, that means it's 68 years before Phantom Menace. He's not quite born yet, because I think in the Phantom Menace, I think Palpatine's supposed to be around 62, 63 years old.
So those theories don't resonate very well with me, because I don't see that happening. One person we could potentially see, if it was going in that direction, would be Plagueis, potentially, because
we could see Plagueis,
he would be old enough for that.
Yes.
But I honestly don't know if that's the direction they're going to go, because originally when this was announced, I was like, oh, this might just be a huge origin story of the Sith, or the Force in general, or where we're going with that. Yeah. But it seems like this is going to be more tied towards, like I said, that murder mystery type thing, where You know,
right?
Yeah, you had some theories on this as well about why. This
all
happens.
Well, right. I think so. We have the one character. Her name is May, who says this isn't about good or bad. This is the quote from the trailer. This is about power and who is allowed to use it. I think she is. This is just my theory. I think she is a Padawan who failed her trials, and basically the way the Jedi treated those people were, no, get out.
Yeah.
You know, we're just going to release you. So they're releasing these people into the wild, basically, with this power
with,
that they never,
potential.
Right,
yeah.
with this force potential that they have just enough training in that they could be dangerous with it. But, you know, there's nobody around to kind of rein them in. Or anything. Say, okay, just, you fail the trials.
Which could very well, so, like, another point, too, is, like, that wouldn't necessarily make those people Sith.
No,
because at this point, the rule of two is in place because Bane would have already done that.
I think we're going to see rumblings of that.
So if we do see that, we might see a couple connections to the rule too. We might see a couple Sith, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think if your theory is correct about these Jedi who are a little vengeful, they might not be Sith, but they might just be users of the dark side. Right?
Yeah,
they're not necessarily going to be a part of the rule too, and they could just genuinely be vengeful Jedi who want some revenge on the people that kicked them out of the Order because they failed their trial. I think that'd be very interesting. If they do that, I still hope we get to see some remnants of the Sith, and I think there were a couple shots that looked like, there might be some dark side user, wearing darker clothing, so...
there's somebody using a red lightsaber there, too.
Yeah, so there's definitely some hints towards that. I think this is going to be a show that I have only a little bit of idea what's going on right now, and I feel like I'm going to get shocked a lot, because I don't really have any huge expectations.
Well, the show is supposed to be a mystery, and it is a mystery. It's a mystery both in the storyline, it's a mystery in what we know we're going to see. I don't know if we're going to see another trailer. This was kind of early for a trailer.
Well,
maybe they'll release another trailer.
Yeah, they might release something May the 4th or something.
It's another couple months here.
Common.
Well, like you said, we are going to see a little bit of a thing.
Yeah,
if we do get to see the Phantom Menace.
That might be their other trailers, a little snippet. Trying to get people to go to the theaters and watch Phantom Menace again.
Right, exactly.
But that'd be really interesting.
If anyone out there is familiar with the High Republic books, and I have to apologize again, I haven't caught up on my reading. I'm going to try to dive into a couple of them before the show starts. Vernestra Rowe is in it. She's the green Mirialan Jedi. You see just a brief shot of her walking through a door in the Jedi Temple, but I don't know how much of a part she's going to play. But she plays a big part in those books and comics, from my understanding. So I'll be interested to see, to know more about her. It's kind of why I want to dive into a couple of those books.
Yeah.
I want to get some background on maybe at least her, since she's going to be in the show. And,
for sure.
Go from there.
Yeah.
Are we going to see Yoda?
Yeah, I was just going to comment on that. I hope so. Be a perfect time for it. I mean, how old would he be at this point?
He would be
still a couple hundred years old.
He would be a spry 800.
Yeah. So maybe a little fewer grays.
779 or something. Somewhere around
definitely
there.
A lot of wisdom to give. So I think that'd be really cool. I mean, if this is going to be set in the Jedi Temple, which, it seems like we've seen a couple shots of some Jedi Temple looking thing. I don't know if that's necessally the one on Coruscant or not.
I think it is. I think it's the one on Coruscant.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, more than likely we will see Yoda.
Well, the opening scene, that trailer there where that master is teaching the children, I think that's kind of a flashback scene. Because I think that one little girl that says, "I see fire," that's May, that we see later. Says this quote that I mentioned here a bit ago. Anyway, you see the cityscape of Coruscant in the background there.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, that is the original. That has been there for I think 1,000 years or something like that. So I wouldn't be against a Yoda cameo.
No, neither would I.
I don't necessarily want him to play a big part, but
I think Yoda's played a lot of parts. I mean, obviously in the original trilogy and all the other trilogies we've seen thus far, Yoda's played a big part. Even in the sequels after he passed, I mean, he still came back as a ghost.
That was a great scene.
Yeah.
Last
so
Jedi.
Yoda's played a lot of part. I think it'd be really cool to introduce some new characters that have just about as much weight when it comes to their ability to teach the new generation.
That's right.
And Yoda talks about this a lot too, but it's the concern of the master trying to teach an apprentice. You're always going to have some sort of trouble with it. You know, how you're able to teach them, how you're able to like retain the light side.
It's like
everybody
life in a real life world.
struggles. Yeah. Everybody struggles with this, so it'd be really cool to see if he can give or impart some wisdom on potentially some new master who maybe struggles to teach.
Could be
a new generation, which could lead to this kind of assassin behavior that we're seeing for some of the new.
Yeah, and the masters they never stop learning. I mean that moment in Last Jedi we just talked about. That was a teaching moment for Luke.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he's a 60-year-old, some odd grandmaster of the Jedi.
Just because he was able to defeat the Emperor somewhat.
That's right. That
doesn't mean he's perfect. He's still got a lot to learn.
Yeah. Yoda comes back and teaches him a little lesson there.
Yeah.
I think it's going to tie into the original trilogy too. That Jedi Master that I mentioned is teaching the children there. Says your eyes can deceive you, and that's what Obi-Wan tells Luke when he puts the helmet on him. He says your eyes can deceive you.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of the lessons too in the prequels with Skywalker. Trying to. He sees visions, but whether or not you're able to act on them, right? So he saw death and pain and all that, and he acted on it, and that's a lot of what ended up pushing him into becoming Darth Vader.
Ahsoka struggles with that too. There was that one episode where they were trying to assassinate Amidala, and
she was very
White gets that vision quite right.
Yeah,
it becomes more clear as time goes on, but. Yeah,
she was definitely doing that. But it'll be interesting to see if they, how they tie into this. The, I see fire comment. Like, if whoever sees this vision chooses to act upon it, that could, lead to their trial by fire, so to speak, and they might lose.
Exactly.
Yeah. But very interesting. I'm looking forward to this quite a bit.
I am too.
And I don't really know what comes after this when it comes to series, because I have no idea what they're thinking. I mean, other than a couple, we have the hint of the Mandalorian movie and a couple of other things coming on too. But
we got to be seeing Skeleton Crew here or something about that.
Yeah, because I remember I almost felt like that was going to come before Acolyte.
I did too. I thought that was the next thing.
And then here we are with the trailer for Acolyte now, so I'm starting to think that's a lie, and that's not going to actually happen before.
Yeah. I get Andor vibes that Acolyte trailer too, didn't you? There's like
I like those series where they go into a different realm of something, right? Like obviously with like what we just talked about with the Bad Batch, like this is a series that is very limited by its movement because of what's surrounding it, right? We know it comes before and we know it comes after. So like unless they introduce totally new characters, we know inevitably some of the fates of these characters, right? Which does lock them in place a little bit. But something like the Acolyte, well, that's a totally new kind of adventure here. Right, with hopefully new characters, and a bunch of interesting stories. These people can do whatever they want, and we're not going to have to worry too much about the outcome necessarily. And Andor did the same thing, right? Although it was surrounded by a couple of things with the Empire, it told a totally unique story that we hadn't seen before. So it was able to have a ton of leverage on its movement there, and it made an amazing series. So I have high hopes for the Acolyte. Hopefully, it'll do something similar. And
we mentioned Andor. There's supposed to be a season 2 of that coming too.
Yeah, theoretically.
I'm looking forward next year now.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
that was supposed to come this year. I think it's gonna be next year now because of the strikes and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The second Andor season 1 finished, I wanted the next one right on my doorstep because they left that off on a cliffhanger too. So I don't know.
That's true. Yeah,
we'll have to see what comes.
Yeah, there's a post-credit scene there with them building the Death Star.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I did my massive rewatch back right before Christmas. I totally forgot about that, and I skipped over it.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's like one of the better scenes, too.
Well.
That's why you never skip the credits.
That's why you never skip the credits.
Wars stuff, Marvel
that's why I watch the credits.
Yeah. No,
that's why I watch the credits. When a new episode comes out. I watch it for the movies, because you know what I do. When I rewatch the movies, I sit there and I close my eyes, and I just listen to John Williams' beautiful sound.
Yeah. And then if it stops, and it's not just total silence, then it's a scene.
That's right.
And you open your eyes again and you get blessed with something.
Well, I mean when the credits are rolling, that's when I
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, right, so, but yeah, I'm really interested to see what comes after this, see if we get anything else with the Acolyte, and who knows, but it's kind of open terrain for Star Wars right now. But
anything else you want to cover? Or?
I don't know, I feel pretty good.
I feel good too, except we're going to do a trivia question.
Yeah. Watch me get it wrong again.
It's not going to be my strongest effort. I did a little intro video a couple days ago. I said, I don't think it's going to be a strong effort. I was debating whether I was even going to do it.
Sure thing.
But I'm going to do it because I think there's like a 0.00022% chance you might have read about this accidentally.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
I'll take it.
And the other reason I'm doing it is it's just going to be an excuse for me to mention my second favorite movie series, which is James Bond, which are the James Bond movies.
He talks a lot about James Bond. James Bond is good. James Bond is good.
Talk a lot about James Bond.
Oh, yeah.
I do like the Bond movies. So, my trivia question, and I didn't write it down, so I hope I'm going to get all the facts right here. My trivia question is, how did the success of Star Wars, the original movie, affect the James Bond movie release schedule?
Ooh. In what way? What do you mean? Like push back? What do you mean?
Like, which movie was supposed to come next but didn't? And they did a different movie instead. And I'll explain after you get this wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to get it wrong. I don't even know if I have a guess.
Yeah, because you probably haven't, you know why? You probably haven't watched enough of the Bond movies to know
Probably not.
Okay, so back in the 70s, so Star Wars came out on May 25th, 1977. In August, I think the 3rd or 4th, The Spy Who Loved Me came out. So that wasn't affected. That came out just a few months after. That, obviously, nobody foresaw the success of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So they were locked in on that movie, releasing that when it did. It still did well, even though Star Wars was still chugging along in August of that year. But at that time, at the end of the Bond movies, after the credits would roll, they'd have a little title card at the end. And it would say, the end of the movie you just finished watching. James Bond will return in, and they would give you the title of the next movie that was coming.
Oh, neat.
So at the end of The Spy Who Loved Me, it said, the end of The Spy Who Loved Me. James Bond will return in, now I'm going to forget the name of the movie. Darn it, every time I do these shows, I forget stuff. For Your Eyes Only.
Gotcha.
So the next movie was going to be For Your Eyes Only. Star Wars was this big, massive, gigantic hit. The next movie that came out in 1979 was Moonraker.
Oh.
They decided to do a sci-fi James Bond. And it wasn't even, there was a, Ian Fleming wrote a book, Moonraker, and I haven't read any of the Ian Fleming books, I should, but it wasn't even anything like the book, I guess. So they just did it because we got to do a space movie because Star Wars is so successful.
So well.
And it's actually the worst James Bond movie of the 25.
Shoot.
It's horrible. It's just like, I did a James Bond rewatch about a month ago. Yeah. I watched it anyway, but I just kind of
They put all their marbles in one jar and there's a hole in the bottom. You know?
Star Wars changed the landscape because Battlestar Galactica came out on ABC after that. That wasn't very successful. The reboot of it in 2005 was very successful.
Yeah.
And I watched an interview Whoopi Goldberg did with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. It must have been done a while ago. So Leonard Nimoy passed away several years ago.
Okay.
She did an interview with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy from the original series and with Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes from The Next Generation. And I can't remember if it was William Shatner or Leonard Nimoy said, we owe a debt of gratitude to George Lucas. Because Star Trek also came out, the motion picture came out in 1979.
Yeah.
And that movie was kind of critically panned, but it restarted. I mean, that franchise was dead.
Yeah.
And it restarted that franchise and gave those guys second life in their careers.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, but it affected all kinds of things, not just the James Bond release schedule.
Neat.
But we did get For Your Eyes Only in 1981.
Huh. Well, either way, it seems like the impact of George Lucas has been...
I think the point of my question was just it was that. It was the impact of... And look at this, it's almost 50 years later, and we're still talking about this stuff. Not just you and me.
Conversation.
No, millions of people are still talking about this thing.
Even if they don't do it in the podcast form. I mean, geez, before we started this, it was just, conversations on the phone for, a good chunk of time about episodes and series and stuff like that.
Well, my friend Derek has commented several times how smooth this goes, and I said, well, what you're seeing is just our phone conversations that we've had in the past. We're just putting it on Facebook Live and YouTube
in front of you, and
filming it on my phone here.
Maybe turning on a dramatic light or two, just to get the lighting right.
No bells and whistles. And that's not what we wanted it to be when we started it.
Yeah,
we just
something
wanted it to be a raw look at how we think about Star Wars, and it's been all right, I think.
So yeah,
we're not going to be we're never going to be one of the big boys, but that's okay. So there you go. All right, want to wrap it up then?
You said raw.
Oh, my Lord, my niece just did a Beavis and Butthead thing.
God.
Yes, we
Way
said...
to end it off.
We said raw. That's right, Denise. We said raw. All right. Hey, we're going to wrap it up then. Happy Easter, everyone. I didn't say that, but I hope you're having a good Easter Sunday. Excuse me, with family. And we will talk to you next time.
Awesome.
Have a good one, everyone. Have a great time, folks.